Hey guys, hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Sorry I'm a little bit later than what I said. My friend Justin's been here replacing my front porch because it was starting to fall apart. So thank you, Justin, for the great job. I'm super excited about it so I can enjoy a nice cocktail on a nice summer evening out there now. So it's going to be awesome. So anyway, now to the topic at hand, our second law from John C. Maxwell's 15 Valuable Laws of Growth. So this law is a law of awareness. So this one really goes to the core of self-realization, right? Not always fun for people to think about. But, hey Sean, how are you? Thank you for getting out of the shower for this. And basically what the law of awareness means is that you have to know yourself to grow yourself. So, it's not always easy for us to put the mirror up and look inside and see, hey, what do I do well and what do I not do well, right? Because who really wants to dive into that? That's kind of painful, right? But if you don't know where you need to improve, then how do you know where to grow? So especially when you're, if you're learning a new topic, that's easy, right? Because it's not something that it's external to you. It's just knowledge that you need to put in your brain. But we all have skills that are intrinsic to who we are that we also need to improve and grow and learn. So that is exactly what this law is all about. So basically awareness is who you currently are. And it's the foundation, it's the reality, right, of where you are right now to know, hey, this is what I need to build upon to achieve my success and my dreams. So if you don't have a good sense of who you are and what your faults are and what your strengths are, how do you do that? So as John says, he said, I'm 70 years old. I'm never going to be a world-class ballerina. It's just the way it is. At this point in my life, my body's not going to move like that. I have to start that years and years and years ago. And he says, no matter how many times I flap my arms up and down, he's like, I can't fly. So he said, there are just some realities that you've got to put into your circumstance in order to achieve your dreams and your successes. So, belief and just believing that you're going to be successful isn't only going to get you so far, right? It'll get you maybe to acting, which we talked about yesterday, but it's not going to be enough to propel you forward, sort of that uphill thinking that we talked about yesterday. But, a lot of people say that experience is the best teacher. But as John says, the problem with that is that if that were true, then every single person who got older would be better, right, than the day before and the years before. And that's not always true, and that's not always happen. And just by getting older, you don't achieve your goals, of course, right? So what John says is evaluated experience is the best teacher. And what does that mean? So really what it means is looking at your experience that you have and saying, okay, I touched on this a little bit yesterday in terms of okay, what happened in that situation? How well did that go with that first try or the second try? And what might I adjust next time and learn from the last time and how that went? And so what he says is that you have to approach it with an open mind, an open heart, and open hands, basically policy. So that, you've got to be willing to kind of look inside and say, okay, if I'm going to improve, I've got to put myself out there and I've got to wonder and have a little bit of curiosity and try to have a little bit of a thick skin and say, what is it like to be on the other side of me and experience me? What do I need to do to change? And so he suggests that everybody ask their friends, what is it that I need to be aware of? How could I possibly improve? What is it that you notice about me that maybe is something that I should work on? Now, obviously, when you're doing that with your friends, hopefully they're not going to be smart asses. I could be a smart ass, but like I said yesterday, if you're trying to improve yourself, I certainly would not be a sarcastic mess like I am sometimes. Because, you really want to help your friends, right? And have them get to where they are. And so if there's something, especially if it's related to actually what they want to achieve, right? You're not going to just be like, well, you're not really good financially, but when they're talking about they want to play soccer better, right? So it's one-to-one, right? Stay on topic. That's just a little advice. If I ask you, because I'll probably be asking some of you, for anything that you see that I might be able to do better. So, and if you want to volunteer, you can just shoot me a private message. I would love to hear it. I promise I won't take it personally. And so the other things he says is to share your weaknesses and the things you're working on with your friends, with your family, with your coworkers, maybe even your bosses at work. And he says that he knows that, especially at the workplace, this can be a sensitive topic, right? Especially if where you're trying to improve is at work, right? And so he was giving this example about this Fortune 500 company that he was doing some training with them. And after the training was over and he had talked about this principle, this gentleman came up and said, well, I totally disagree with sharing because, you know, then you're opening yourself up and then people say all this bad stuff about you and then they're just going to be looking for it everywhere. And so he kind of let him go on and on and on. And he said, after he, you know, listened to the gentleman, he said, well, you know, that's all well and good. And I appreciate, you know, that that's the way you feel. But he's like, there's one problem with what you're saying. And the guy was like, what? He said, you're assuming that all these people don't already know that this is your weakness. And he said the actual opposite effect can happen is if you actually cop to the fact that, hey, I know I'm not that strong on X, Y, or Z, they're like, oh, good, thank goodness they know that they need to work on this. And it can actually be something that you, you know, get better at and help with because these people are saying, oh, they're self-aware enough to know that, you know, they're not as strong at, you know, mentoring people or whatever it might be, so that, you know, they can say and suggest maybe times where you might be able to do that where you normally are not doing those things. So, you know, that's the thing about it is John says you can't grow by yourself. You need help. We all need our friends, families, colleagues around us to help support us and move forward to help teach us, right, in different ways that we need to grow as well. And so he says, without that foundation of awareness of your strengths and weaknesses, you will totally have a blind spot on where you need to grow, and then therefore you can't change. So a lot of that stuff was stuff that we all know, right? But I just love the way he talks about it and really has people be vulnerable about things and really kind of very matter of fact about, you know, you're assuming that people don't know this about you, right? Which is totally true. We all like to think we can hide our weaknesses, but it's not always so. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great evening and I will see you soon.